Hello and welcome to this Vision Systems Design Tech Summit Quick Chat featuring Euresys. My name is Chris McClune and I'm the editor-in-chief of Vision Systems Design. Today's presenter is Mike Cyros, and he is the VP Sales and Support for the Americas at Euresys. Mike's full bio can be found by clicking on his name next to the video. We've put aside some time at the end of this quick chat for Q&A, so if you have any questions during this quick chat, type them into the Q&A box below. Well, thanks, Mike, for joining me today. We're going to be talking about IP cores, and to start us off, I think the best way to get going would be, could you describe what an IP core is and the types of IP cores that Euresys offers?
Sure, Chris. Yeah, an IP core is essentially a ready-made, fully tested, debugged, and supported set of, say, a defined functionality that's implemented in an FPGA. And then those IP cores are sold to developers, principally to save them on development time or to perhaps cover an area of complex functionality where they themselves don't already have that expertise. Quite simply, this allows core developers to focus on their core expertise. Second part of your question, we offer three types of IP cores to the greater vision and imaging community. There's what we call a receiver IP core, and these are easy interfaces of traditional image sensors, CMOS sensors, to acquire the images into an FPGA. So for example, a MIPI CSI2 sensor or a Sony Pregis sensor, we have ready-made functionality to acquire that video. We also offer device IP cores. A device IP core is a full implementation of one of the image transport interface standards, such as GigE Vision or CoExpress or USB 3 Vision. So a device IP core is typically used by a camera manufacturer. Finally, we also offer host IP cores. These are similar to device, but are on the receiver side. So for example, an embedded vision processor or a traditional frame grabber interface card that you plug into a PC would use our host IP cores.
Okay, now, one thing that happens in any industry is that there are always trends. There are always things that we might be talking about more at one time than another. Can you tell us why at this point in time, lately, we've been hearing more about IP cores in the vision industry?
Yeah, I think there's a few reasons for that. Time to market is always a critical one. We've always seen that the first one to market, typically with the latest sensor or with the latest update or revision of an interface standard, earliest to market means greater success in market. And by relying on an IP core where we're focused in expertise in that area, these developers always have access to the latest and greatest and get their new products to market quickly. Another thing that's really happening that is one of my big interest areas in the machine vision market is that our technology is finding its way into all kinds of new emerging markets. So for example, stadium imaging or entertainment, we saw during the pandemic, this sense of watchers at home watching a live event being able to control the view interactively on their own to watch as a spectator a particular event, sports analytics, and even the constant need for growing resolutions and sizes, for example, of devices in consumer electronics are always pushing the need for more resolution and quick speed. So the faster and easier we can make it for people to get to market with latest products for this technology is definitely a big reason here. Finally, I think the push for embedded vision systems is pulling traditional vision technologies out of a traditional PC computer and embedding those into much smaller processing bricks, for example, that may have an FPGA and several ARM processors or a GPU. So the ability to acquire high-speed data from any of our industry's vision standards into an embedded processor is also pushing demand for IP cores. So I think this is why we're hearing more about these.
Okay, so we learned a bit about what IP cores are. You just talked a lot about some applications. And, as with many products in this space. Customers have a number of choices when it comes to different vendors to supply them with what they need to build these systems up. And IP cores are no different, with multiple suppliers available. So could you explain what separates the Euresys sensor to image IP cores from other offerings that are out there?
Yeah, okay. Thanks for that question, Chris. We're standards experts first and foremost. We're very active in leadership, or take supporting roles of the various industry associations and the global technologies working groups for these interface standards. So not only are we participating in those, we're actively helping to develop and promote the evolutions of these standards for the benefit of the industry at all. So our work there is not to benefit specifically our company. It's the concept of a rising tide floats all boats, by making sure that there's more and more use of these vision industry standards. We also are pretty unique in that we position ourselves as selling a working solution, not just a building block or a component. So we deliver a fully working reference design of an IP core, imaging already on an agreed platform, so that the system developer that purchases our IP core can concentrate on what they do best. We provide detailed and hands-on kickoff training for every IP core that we sell. Another thing that's unique to us is it's the support we do is actually provided by our senior FPGA IP core developers. So our customers are interacting directly with the teams that have developed these IP cores, so they get top-notch technical support. And we position ourselves as a development partner. So we see ourselves in it for the long term rather than, again, just a supplier of off-the-shelf components. We're really well known for our customer service. We also offer custom design services around our IP cores. We could do full schematic design, PCB design, layout services, and even batch SMT production services for our customers. Most importantly, and I think really a testament to who we are, is that many well-known brands of cameras and image acquisition devices, such as frame grabbers, already are relying on Euresys sensor-to-image IP cores for their successful products.
And that brings us to the obvious question, which is how to obtain IP cores. Can you tell us how IP cores are sold?
Sure. Yeah. Essentially, the sale of an IP core is like purchasing a right-to-use license for a defined project. For us, we have a somewhat industry-specific definition of a project, but basically a class or a type of FPGA for a specific product or product series if it's a common interface. So it's a right-to-use license. Depending on the IP core, as I mentioned earlier, we have several different types of IP cores. There are generally up to 3 possible types of licenses that we offer. The first is a single piece license. It offers a really low cost of entry pricing to get in, but typically you're looking at smaller volumes because you purchase license chips that are added into your design for that. So rather than a lot of upfront expense, we deliver the IP core as an encrypted VHDL binary format that requires the presence of these chips in your design. And then as you produce your design, you purchase additional chips from us. The second way is what we call a volume license, and this has a higher upfront cost, but it includes the first 500 or even 1,000 license chips, depending on the model. So it's obviously meant for a higher volume production system. These licenses are also encrypted binary, but additional license chips are very inexpensive to purchase. You know, one or just a few dollars in several cases. The final way that we sell licenses for certain ones are what we call an unlimited license. And these are IP cores that we deliver with the full VHDL source code of the IP core. In that case, obviously, no license chips are required. And both the volume and unlimited licenses allow our customers to use multiple instantiations in the same FPGA. So, for example, creating an embedded vision system that's acquiring simultaneously from different gig vision cameras or co-express cameras can easily be implemented with the volume or unlimited licenses. So hopefully that answers your question, Chris.
Absolutely. And it speaking of questions, it does look like we have some questions from the audience, and we promised to set aside some time for Q&A. So if it's good with you, let's start our Q&A.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds great.